I had a terrible day yesterday.
Me too, actually.
Really?
Yeah, nothing catastrophic, just everything felt heavy. Small things went wrong. I couldn't concentrate. I snapped at someone I didn't mean to snap at. And by the evening, I just sat there thinking, what is the point of any of this?
That specific feeling, when nothing is dramatically wrong, but everything feels wrong anyway.
Exactly. And today we're talking about that. Not the dramatic crisis, the ordinary bad day. The kind that doesn't get a story, it just sits on you.
I'm Anna.
And I'm Jake. Welcome to Speak First English, where we speak first and think second.
And today we speak about the hard days, what we actually do when we're in them. Not the Instagram version, the real version.
Because here's what we've noticed. Our listeners are smart, hardworking, caring people. They're dealing with enormous pressure, work, family, learning a new language, sometimes living in a new country, sometimes carrying things we don't know about.
And when they have a bad day, they often have no English for it. Not because they don't have feelings, but because the language of a bad day is specific, and most textbooks don't teach it.
Today, we do. Real language for real days.
Today's topic, what I do on my worst days.
And we want to be clear about what kind of days we're talking about. We're not talking about genuine crises, loss, trauma, serious hardship. Those deserve their own kind of support, and we talked about struggles in an earlier episode.
Today, we're talking about the ordinary worst days, the days when you wake up already tired, when nothing goes right, when you feel behind on everything, when your mood is underground and you can't fully explain why.
The days when you still have to function, still go to work, still answer messages, still show up, but you're doing all of it with a flat battery and no charger in sight.
And there are two things our listeners need on those days. First, the practical tools. What actually helps? What we've both personally learned through experience and some painful trial and error about getting through a worst day without making it worse.
And second, the English, the specific words and phrases for describing that state, for communicating it honestly to others, for talking about it because talking about it is itself a tool.
Before we go further, please share this episode, not as advice, as company, because the worst thing about a bad day is feeling alone in it, and knowing someone else is talking about this, honestly, without performance, makes it slightly less alone.
Let's get into it. Anna, let me ask you something. What makes a worst day different from a sad day, or a hard day, or a tired day?
A worst day is all of those at once, and the thing that makes it specifically a worst day is that you can't locate the single cause. It's not one thing, it's a weight, everywhere, heavy, without a clear source.
And without a clear source, there's no clear solution, which is why worst days are so disorienting.
Because we like to solve things. We like to find the problem, fix the problem, feel better. But a worst day resists that. You try to find what's wrong, and there's no single answer, just the weight.
Think of it like weather. You can't argue with weather. You can't fix weather. You can't explain weather away. It's just raining, and you're in it.
And what you can do is not make it worse and wait for it to pass and do the small things that help you get through without leaving damage behind.
Because that's the real goal of a worst day. Not to fix it, not to overcome it, not to turn it into a growth moment. Just get through it without making things worse, without hurting people you care about, without burning down something you'll need tomorrow.
Survival with dignity. That's the goal of a worst day.
And today, we tell you exactly how we do it.
Jake, I want to do something different today. Instead of building to the stories, let's start with them. Because today's tips come directly from what we each have actually learned from our own worst days.
Okay, real talk.
Real talk. You go first.
All right, my worst days have a pattern. I've noticed it over the years. It usually starts the night before. I sleep badly or I go to bed with something unresolved in my head. And then I wake up already behind the curve, already losing the day before it started.
And what's the first thing you used to do on those mornings?
Check my phone immediately, which is the worst possible thing you can do, because then I'm not just tired, I'm tired and already overwhelmed by other people's problems and news and demands.
So what changed?
I made a rule. On the days when I feel it, that heavy feeling before I've even opened my eyes, I don't touch the phone for the first 30 minutes. I get up, I make something warm, I sit with it. I let the morning be slow, even if the day has to be fast.
The slow beginning.
The slow beginning. It doesn't fix the day, but it means the day starts on my terms, not on everyone else's.
My worst days are different. Mine usually hit in the afternoon. Everything feels fine in the morning, and then around 2 or 3, everything just drops. Energy, mood, motivation, all of it. Floor.
The 2 o'clock cliff.
I call it the gray zone, and for years I would try to push through it, just work harder, concentrate more, and I would produce bad work and feel worse by the end.
What did you learn instead?
That the gray zone needs either movement, walk outside even for 10 minutes, no phone, no podcast, just movement, or permission. I tell myself, this is a gray zone day. Today is not a producing day. Today is a maintaining day.
Maintaining versus producing. That's a beautiful distinction.
On maintaining days, I do only the things that absolutely need doing. I protect my energy. I'm kind to people. I don't make big decisions. And I trust that tomorrow is a different day.
Because it usually is.
Almost always. The gray zone is almost always temporary. I just have to not make it worse while I'm in it. Okay, into the tips. Tip 1, and this one sounds almost too simple. Tip 1, name the day.
Name it.
Say it out loud, to yourself or to someone safe. Today is a hard day. Not, I'm fine. Not, it's okay. Not, I'll get through it. Just name it.
Because a named thing has edges, and things with edges are easier to handle than things without.
Today is a hard day tells your brain this is a specific day. It has a start and an end. It is not the rest of your life. It is today.
And in English, here are the phrases for naming your day. I'm having a really hard day today.
Today is one of those days. Or, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. That's an English idiom. It means you started the day in a bad mood without a clear reason.
I'm not at my best today. I'm having a bit of an off day. Everything feels heavy today. I'm not sure why.
Each of these names the day without dramatizing it, without oversharing, without asking for anything, just naming.
And when you name it, to yourself or others, something shifts slightly. The unnamed thing that was everywhere becomes a specific thing. Today, just today.
Name the day. Give it edges. Remind yourself it ends.
Tip number 2, and this is the most personal one. Tip 2, do the one kind thing for yourself.
On a worst day, everything feels like it costs too much. Every task, every interaction, every decision. And in that state, most people do one of two things. They push harder or they collapse completely.
Both make worse days worse.
The one kind thing is a third option. You do one small, genuinely kind thing for yourself, not as a reward, not as a treat, but as a basic act of self-care, the way you'd care for a friend who was having a hard day.
What does that look like? It looks like making the good tea, not the quick one, the nice one. Taking 10 minutes to sit outside, eating something warm and real. Listening to one song that always helps, calling one person whose voice makes things slightly lighter.
Not a spa day, not a full self-care routine, just one thing, the one kind thing that costs almost nothing and gives just enough. And in English, here's how you describe it. I needed something kind today, so I fill in the blank.
Small, real, yours.
I needed something kind today, so I made my favorite tea and sat with it for 10 minutes.
I needed something kind today, so I called my friend just to hear their voice.
I needed something kind today, so I walked to the park and back. No phone, just the walk.
The one kind thing. not fixing the day, not solving the mood, just one small act of being decent to yourself, because you deserve that, especially on the worst days. Maybe especially then.
Tip number 3, and this one requires a mindset distinction that I think is really important. Tip 3, lower your expectations for the day, but not your standards.
Tell us the difference.
Expectations are what you plan to achieve. Standards are who you choose to be. On a worst day, you can't always meet your expectations. The big project might not get finished. The ambitious goals might not get touched. And that's okay.
But your standards, how you treat people, whether you're honest, whether you show basic care, those you protect, even on the worst day.
Because what you do on your worst days tells you more about who you are than what you do on your best days.
On a best day, anyone can be generous, patient, and kind. The test is the worst day.
And I've learned, on my gray zone days, I consciously lower the list. The ambitious things move to tomorrow. But I stay kind. I stay honest. I protect the relationships. I don't take the bad day out on people who had nothing to do with it.
That's the standard. Everything else can flex.
In English, this sounds like, today was hard, so I couldn't get everything done, but I kept what mattered. Or, I had a difficult day, but I made sure the people around me didn't feel it.
You protect what can't be undone and forgive yourself for what can be pushed to tomorrow.
Lower the expectations. Never lower the standards.
Tip number 4, and this connects to our routine episode, but in the specific context of worst days. Tip 4, use the minimum anchor.
On a worst day, the routine is at risk. Everything feels like too much, and it's tempting to cancel everything. The English practice, the exercise, the healthy eating, all of it.
And sometimes that's right. Genuine rest matters. But often what looks like I need to rest is actually I need something familiar to hold on to.
The minimum anchor is one small, consistent thing you do every day, no matter what. On the good days, the bad days, the worst days.
Not because it changes the day, but because it confirms something important. I am still here. I am still the person who does this. The worst day has not erased me.
For some people, it's a short walk. For others, it's making coffee slowly. For English learners, it might be listening to one podcast episode, even half an episode, even 5 minutes.
Because on a worst day, 5 minutes of English is not a language achievement, it's an identity statement. I am someone who shows up, even today.
And that statement, on a worst day, is worth more than 10 productive hours on a good day, because it was harder and you did it anyway.
Think of the anchor as a rope in deep water. You don't have to swim on a worst day, you just have to hold the rope.
Hold the rope. That's enough. The current will change, and the rope will still be there. And our final tip, tip 5. And this one is the permission tip, the one that wraps the day and lets it go. Tip 5, let tomorrow be different.
Not tomorrow will be better, that's a promise you can't always keep. Not tomorrow I'll make up for today, that's pressure you don't need.
Just let tomorrow be different, open, possible, not pre-decided, not already behind.
Because one of the things that extends a worst day is carrying it into the next morning, going to sleep with the story of the day, today was terrible, I failed, I'm behind, I should have done more, and waking up with that story already playing.
And the antidote is a simple closing ritual. Before sleep, you close the day. Not with gratitude necessarily, not with forced positivity, just with completion.
You say out loud or in writing, today was hard, I got through it. Tomorrow is a different day, I'll start fresh.
That's it. 4 sentences. A closing, an acknowledgement, a release, a beginning.
In English, the language for this sounds like, today was what it was. I did what I could. I'm closing the book on this one. Tomorrow, I get to start again. I'm letting this day go.
I'm letting this day go. Write that down. Say it tonight if you need it. It's permission you can give yourself. Nobody else has to give it.
Because the worst days, they're part of the count. They count toward your story, even when they feel like they don't count toward anything.
You got through today, and that's real. And tomorrow, it's different. You don't know how, but it is.
Let it be different. Let it. Anna, today's words are for the real human experience, the inner life, the hard days. Let's look at them.
Yes, our word tour. These words will help you describe your emotional state on difficult days, honestly and with dignity, in real English conversations.
First word, drained.
Drained means completely out of energy, emotionally or physically empty. I feel completely drained today. Nothing dramatic happened, but I have nothing left. Or, dealing with that situation drained me more than I expected.
Next, off.
Off, in this context, means not quite right, slightly wrong in a way that's hard to name. A very useful casual word. I've been feeling a bit off all day. Or, something is off. I can't explain it. I just don't feel like myself.
Then, overwhelmed.
We've used this before, but on worse days, it has a specific texture. I'm not sad exactly, just overwhelmed, like there's too much in every direction. Or, when I'm overwhelmed, I need to slow everything down before I can speed it back up.
We also said function or functioning.
To function means to operate, to do what needs doing, even at minimum capacity. I'm functioning today, but only just. Or, some days you just function. That's enough.
And cope or coping.
To cope means to manage a difficult situation. Not fixing it, not thriving, but managing. I'm coping. It's not easy, but I'm getting through. Or, some days, coping is the goal. Not achieving, not excelling, just coping.
And one more, reset.
To reset means to return to a starting state, to clear and begin again. I need a reset. A slow evening, no screens, early sleep. Or, tomorrow is a reset. Today is whatever it is.
Your speaking gym challenge today, use one of these words honestly in the next time someone asks how you are. I'm a bit drained today. I've been feeling a bit off. I'm coping, but I'm okay.
One honest word. That's the rep. Before we finish, the 4 things for a worse day. Keep them somewhere you can find them when you need them.
Step 1. Name the day. Say it. Today is a hard day. Give it edges. Remind yourself it ends.
Step 2. The one kind thing. Not fixing, just one small act of being decent to yourself. The good tea, the 10-minute walk, the phone call.
Step 3. Lower the expectations, not the standards. The list flexes, the character doesn't.
Step 4. The minimum anchor. Hold the rope. You don't have to swim, just hold.
Step 5. Let tomorrow be different. Close tonight, open tomorrow. Fresh.
Our question today, and we want the real answer, whatever it is.
What do you do on your worst days? What is the one thing, big or small, that helps you get through?
Write it in the comments, because your answer might be someone else's lifeline. Someone reading tonight who is in the middle of a worst day right now and needs to know that other people get through them and how.
You show it up today for this episode that already counts.
Even if today was a hard day, you're here. That's enough.
This was Speak First English.
Until next time, speak first, think second. And on your worst days, just hold the rope. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.